The line would run from Los Angeles over to San Francisco, and at this point it would branch out and connect to Sacramento, which means that the point closest, you would be pretty close to Bakersfield. You could have a regional metro line that running through Bakersfield that would just go down. It would just connect right down here. And then also you could have one over here at Fresno. And then by the time you get up to here, you're basically at the same point Stockton and Modesto are at, you know? You could stay on the 5 for like a good portion of it. This is not close. That's like 300 miles. What? From Bakersfield to the point on the 5 next to it? That is not 300 miles. Dude, you're giving brain dead takes. You have to say what you disagree with. You can't just say you disagree. Treat it like a real conversation with a real person. If a person was saying something you disagreed with and you just said, that's wrong, and didn't elaborate, people would think it was weird. Take as if keeping it between two cities would fix the underlying problem. It would, for one, make it faster, and which is a big issue. And for two, it would run along the existing I-5, which means that you would already have a place to build it, because you would only have to worry about the land adjacent to one side of the I-5. You already have a path cutting straight through the area. The high-speed rail is meant to be a super fast, only a couple of stops line that cuts through California. It's a major throughway. It can't have a bunch of stops. But if you built a robust local rail station, you could build up the Central Valley effectively in a way that isn't completely dependent on the high-speed rail, which is not as useful to you. Don't you want a local rail that takes you between local Central Valley stops? I think it'd be cool to have as many high-speed rail stops as possible, actually. Okay, I don't know if you're joking, but you can't have as many high-speed rail stops as possible, because then it wouldn't be very high speed. Because the critical point of the high-speed rail that we're trying to hinge on here is that, oh, you were joking? Okay, you can't be doing that with me right now. Have a little bit of social grace, okay? But to be clear, every stop you add in between the two critical cities here, San Francisco and Los Angeles, adds to the time it takes. The difference between high-speed rail between those two cities taking 2 hours and 3 is colossal. You know that, right? The whole point here is to make plane travel between the two cities irrelevant, among other things. If it takes too long to get between A and B, it makes it really, 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 really difficult to advocate for it, as opposed to like just using the airport. They're going to have to build express services that skip stops. Yeah, that's fine, but you're still missing out on the benefit of just building on the 5 anyway. There's no benefit to building on the 5. Yes, there is, man. The only benefit is that you already have the land. That's a big benefit. Also, it cuts down on environmental review because there's already a highway cutting through the area. You're not cutting through land with a new purpose. There's a huge difference, man. Do you know what the land looks like next to the 5? On the rural area? Look, if you look at the 5 right here, it already cuts through this land. All you would need is an adding to the easement that was already carved out with the 5. Or to put it another way, you're only carving out one side of the property that you're cutting through. Meaning that if you want to, say, take land from this farm chunk right here, you're not having to worry about cutting straight through the middle of something, which requires a lot more consideration on how you get through it and how you like manage land, how much of the land are you buying up on the other side. You would already have land on one side of the high-speed rail construction covered. You would only have to ease in from one side. It would be an improvement. It would make it easier. The right-of-way would be easier to manage legally. Can't you put it between the roads? No, I don't think so. Maybe in some areas? Probably not here, though. The I-5 route would require the same amount of environmental review. If it does, then it shouldn't. I don't know what you want. Those farmers would fight that tooth and nail. Buddy, they're already fighting it tooth and nail up here, where the high-speed rail is cutting through, like, virgin farmland. So what's the difference? Ooh, man. What? Why are you guys so defensive of this liberal it's not like I'm being contrary about, like, a lefty project here or something. I'm not criticizing Medicare for all. We're talking about a fucking California state project here. Why is everyone being so disagreeable here? Why can't you just say how much less it would have cost? Because nobody knows. California didn't even know how much their version of the project would cost. Nobody knows how much it costs. Maybe a large portion of your chat's from the Central Valley? Yeah, I guess so. Didn't realize, but, you know, that's on me for not considering it. What if I just really hate Bakersfield? Lol, because you're not making any good points. The idea we can't have more stops is crazy, considering that's how Japan does it with express lines. Japan has a comprehensive nationwide rail network. We don't even have one rail running across California. So we should prioritize getting something off the ground and functional and then build a hub out from that. That's one. For two, Japan absolutely has rail hierarchy. By the way, it's really fucking funny for you to argue that when the Shinkansen also does what I'm advocating for, as in it has branch lines running out to other areas. I don't... Like, Japan has rail hierarchy. And this is just the Shinkansen. They also have all the subsidiary rail networks. Like this. That's the point. That chatter's talking nonsense. The first phase of the Shinkansen was literally built for the '64 Olympics in Tokyo, connecting the major hubs of Kyoto and Tokyo. Oh, you're telling me the original Shinkansen wasn't diverted 100 miles west so it could run through bumfuck Nowheresville, the famous Japanese province of fucking shit nowhere with 5 people? You're telling me the original Shinkansen, which was built for less than 1/10 the cost of the California high-speed rail and took less time than it took for us to even begin deliberations, wasn't directly diverted so that it would in any way not compromise the speed of travel between Kyoto and Tokyo?
With stronger politicians that are willing to fight the freight railroads, you tell the freight railroad to move their right-of-way slightly. You just pay them like $50 and say, here.
And you wouldn't do that, would you? So I'm going to pay you $100 to fuck off.
And so you make the freight railroad change its right-of-way slightly so that when you go to cross it with your high-speed route, you instead just have to come across like
this. It's just fucking crazy to me that we've been arguing this for so long when every video that we've seen, even ones from mainstream media, have made it clear the reason for the original planning change was because of political pressure from the Central Valley wealthy-ass land-owning farm boys who pressured their representatives into making sure that the land diverted into theirs so they could all get a fuck ton of money off lawsuits and right-of-way concessions. Like, it's like the idea that Central Valley is not wealthy. The people who own the land in Central Valley are wealthy. The first, the Tokaido Shinkansen, opened shortly before the '64 Tokyo Summer Olympics. The 550-kilometer route connects Tokyo, Yokohama, Nagoya, and Osaka, the four largest cities in Japan. Oh, they don't connect to Bakersfield? Oh, what about fucking Merced over here? You're telling me they don't even hit up Madeira on the route? That's fucking crazy, dude. You're telling me Merced? They're missing out? Where is it? Where's Merced? It's so tiny I can't even... There it is. You telling me they're not hitting up Merced? With its cookies dispensary? And it's Bear Creek Inn, which is top rated? Okay, that's actually pretty funny. What was the name of that, like, that Malthusian slate built somewhere in the United States that, like, gives recommendations for what a post-apocalyptic society should or shouldn't do? One of the recommendations is, like, don't let there be too many humans. There's going to be one pillar out there in the desert, like the fucking ruins of Ozymandias's works, and it's going to say, please don't attempt to build a high-speed rail line across California. The Georgia Guidestones, it's going to be the California guide, it's going to be the fucking Bakersfield Guidestone. This map shows the Shinkansen local stops. Note how much like the California high-speed rail it stops directly in small cities along the line. Even places with 40,000 people have direct service in the Shinkansen. It makes twice as many local stops. I acknowledge this. This is true, but it's just worth noting that I really don't think this is applicable to what we're talking about here, because the Shinkansen is part of a very well-integrated Japan-wide rail network, but we're trying to build a direct line between two megacities as like a proof of concept that can be expanded out later, you know? Also, it's worth noting that as many stops as they have here, the original Shinkansen was a pretty direct line, like, between Osaka and Tokyo, right? Like, the original point was a pretty direct, continuous line. These stops are along the way, but we're diverting from that path to hit the Central Valley. The first direct line had those small city stops. Yeah, but they were trying to bring people to the Olympics. It's different. I'm tired of arguing about this. Going back to the cats. I hate this state, man. We could have been one of the great wonders of the world, but instead we're just known for tech billionaires, annoying Karens, and good tacos. Yeah, California is an a masterclass in wasted potential. Truly, like, abysmal wasted potential. It's really, really sad. With California's natural geography and unbelievable wealth and like positioning in the United States, it could be like insane. Meet potential state? Yeah, seriously.